Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the HumanizeHer podcast. I'm your host, Erica Lockheimer, and I couldn't be more excited to be with you today. This is truly a movement and also a passion project of mine to celebrate women's voices, their stories, their endeavors, their challenges, all of it. We are going to have so much fun together learning about all of them. Let's do this and dive in. In this episode, I'm so excited to have my co-host Elizabeth to interview two amazing women. We have Merline Saintil, who has been an executive in technology for over 25 plus years. She serves on many public boards. She's also an investor, co-founder, and film producer of Black Women on Boards. She is just a powerhouse, and also for me, most importantly, she's a dear friend of mine that I've known for many, many years. So asking her to come on this podcast to share her stories, her challenges is just going to be so much fun. And of course, just like Merline's style, she wants to pay it forward. So she immediately wanted to invite her guest, Aisha Fatima Dozie, who is
a powerhouse all in her own right. Aisha is a former trailblazer in the world of finance, and she pivoted her career to become the founder and CEO of a booming cosmetics company called Bossy Cosmetics. And check this out. She made Oprah's favorite things list not once,
twice.
But twice. So let's get into it.
We are so excited, Elizabeth and I, to have Aisha and Merline. Oh my goodness.
Merline, I think I'd love to start with you.
Absolutely.
One of our questions that we ask all of our guests is, take us back to little Merline. And what did you want to be when you grew up? And, how did you get to kind of where you are today? What has your journey looked like?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. I'm incredibly proud to be here. The journey to here, I often try to give people sort of the improbable story. So I'm a poor girl from Haiti. I came here when I was 5, and often living in downtown Palo Alto, it's often confused with sort of that journey from growing up in South Florida to ultimately just coming to the Bay Area. Growing up, oldest of 5, and loved math. Didn't have a lot going on in terms of family wealth to speak of, but I knew that I always wanted to become something. Mm-hmm. And so that was a drive that really took me from just loving math to graduating top of my class. And I would stumble upon computer science, which this is how Erica and I ultimately first met as women in tech in the Valley. And it was really, I would say, a journey in Monterey. I did a U6 conference while I was in college, and there you go. It's like, where else can someone who has grown up in South Florida with sort of flatlands to see this amazing topography in California? And so Sun Microsystems moved me here in 2000, and it's just been an amazing over 2 decades now. I hate to say that.
It's an accomplishment. It's amazing.
It is.
Proud
over 2 decades, and she's 23 years old.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I love how that math works out.
And completely math.
You were born into this powerhouse life.
It keeps going back versus
just dropped her in.
I love that. But yeah, that's a journey, and I think part of what keeps me grounded and very much shapes how I think about this journey is I stand on the shoulders of many people who invested in me. And so it's just an incredible honor to be here. And that's one of the reasons why when you said, in addition to coming out here and celebrating always this amazing journey that you and I have had, and I know our backgrounds in terms of just having humble beginnings, I always wanted to bring someone along. So I couldn't think of a better person who's just, been part of this big celebration of this amazing community, which I'll talk about in a minute, called Black Women on Boards, and she was part of that. So that's really the origin story of Merline. So
that's amazing. Yeah, you've had so many people uplift you, and now you want to give back to others. And so that's where you co-founded Black Women on Boards.
Yeah.
Yes. And
also, NASDAQ, you had them all on stage. You can't ignore that fact.
Yeah. So everyone thinks this was this big grand plan. It really wasn't. It was a dear friend of mine and mentor, Robin Washington, and I were catching up in the summer of 2020. And towards the end of that, I do say this, but it was a figurative champagne problem, which is we were at capacity, but we kept getting board opportunities. But we just knew amazing, amazing Black women who just weren't getting the calls. And so it was 5 of my friends, 5 of her friends. And we got together in October 2020, and she was one of them. That's awesome. And then I'm like, it's great. I'll ship you guys some wine from Brown Estate, one of the premier Black wineries in Napa. And no one was going anywhere. And so we wanted to talk about board opportunities and how checking on each other.
Yep.
And so that's really how that story started. 18 of us became 55, 100. We rang the bell when we were about 150.
Yep.
And the context that people need to understand is that 6 weeks before we rang the bell on February 8th, 2022 was a week before Thanksgiving. And so that 6-week time frame, Omicron was surging in New York.
Yeah.
The likelihood of getting that many women on stage, very improbable, because there were still sort of
COVID
regulations. It's like how many steps you had to be away from each
Distance
other.
of feet, all
I
that
think it was like 5 up until the day before we rang the bell. That we got the call that their legal team cleared for all 45 women. And of course, we made history, and as you see in the film, and please check it out. But yeah, it was just really just one of those just amazing, amazing journeys to have people come and support the community, not knowing that they would get this incredible sort of opportunity to ring the bell at NASDAQ and then have that be filmed and will last on for history in the film.
It was history.
I hope you have
made
that
it happen.
picture framed somewhere.
Yeah.
I really hope you have it framed somewhere.
Oh, well, it's in the film.
It's
That's
in a
one.
film.
Yeah.
It's number one, the
You
film.
were at New York Stock Exchange as well.
Oh, yeah.
Year.
And so we filmed for about a year. And so we did Stanford Directors College. We were kind of just going through different places around the country. And then we culminated the following year at the New York Stock Exchange. And because of the limitations of the balcony for New York Stock Exchange, I flew in 9 young women from Spelman College. We got a couple of young ladies, an 8th grader and 11th grader from Teak Fellowship, which is a very amazing organization that gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award maybe a few months prior, but I met some kids that I really got attached to, and then we were able to bring them and have them ring the bell with us. So it was really
cool
amazing.
Experience. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They may never get that in their lifetime.
It's an inflection point.
Once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime
Opportunity.
for
Yeah,
sure.
it's an
You created it.
inflection point, yeah.
You created it, and not only are you a film producer now? Oh my! You could say that. You get to add that to your profile.
Add it to your
you get to add it.
resume. Yeah.
You're on 5 public boards.
I am on 5 public boards, and
also private boards. I mean, the list is like crazy.
Yes, and I think the thing that it's important that it's really the community of the women. So the film would not have happened without Shannon Nash, who she has her own film in her own right. She's also an award-winning filmmaker. She's CFO of Wing. And so she came up with this story and brought an award-winning director to this event when I was talking about the 6 weeks prior to us ringing the bell. And it's because of her.
Wow.
Because, listen, I'm product and engineering. Film is not...
I get it. I speak your language.
I would never come up with this is the thing to do.
Right.
But her story, she worked under Debbie Allen, and she talks about making sure we tell our stories. Yeah. And I said, well, I'll do it if I can reach millions of people. And that was the reason we went to do this. I don't seek the limelight for the sake of it, but if I can change millions of people's lives while doing something, I was in.
Scale.
So,
Wow.
Yeah,
scale.
Scale.
Message.
Wow.
Exactly.
And that's why you do it.
And you brought the right people on board. We did the same thing with our podcast here. We have amazing
behind the scenes. You'll see it all in
Alex
BTS roll.
Can I just say, I mean, one of the most beautiful things, and thank you for having us on the podcast, but I'm listening to her, listening to you guys, the basis for this platform, everybody sitting here. We're all about uplifting women. We're all about championing women, empowering women. Like, it's just amazing. So I just wanted us to kind of pause and appreciate that and respect that. Everybody is successful in their own right, but we are just...
I need some Kleenex. Keep talking.
But it's
my
just,
love language.
I'm listening and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I've got this crazy cheesy grin on my face.
Yeah.
And I'm just with gratitude of all of the years of experience, of success, of hardship, of trials. And I mean, I don't have to know your stories to know that there have been so many.
It's been damn hard.
Oh
Aisha.
my God.
It has.
And we still sit here fully made up, looking great, and still wanting to elevate other women. And I want to thank you for inviting me into this space. I want to thank you guys for being who you are, because the world needs us to be who we are,
100%.
have our experiences, and let other girls know that they can be this too and more.
Anything you want to be.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's a gift. I'm going to put it in a box.
I think we originally connected when, as women in tech leaders, about a decade ago.
Was that Neo?
Part of the conversation always starts with, well, do you have to come from a place of competition or abundance? And Erica and I decided to do it from a place of abundance. And so when, I was charged with figuring out how do we increase the number of women in tech at Intuit, I just distinctly remember us connecting and joining forces, doing a lot of things together in cooperation and collaboration versus like it was one company versus the other. And so I think we role modeled that pretty well.
We supported one another, and then it became a beautiful relationship. We keep on going, keep on doing. It's like, you're going to throw this party. Where's it at? I want to be there, and I want to get more people there.
We're part of Neo.
Hey, we're part of Neo. Call out to Ollie.
Ollie,
he's amazing.
thank you so much for creating this community.
It's like so many connections from that. Very thankful.
So amazing story. And, one of my favorite things too about this is I'm meeting you ladies in person for the first time today. So just beyond grateful to be in the same room, knowing what you've accomplished so far in your career so far, because you're not done. I already know that.
Oh, we have a lot of work to do.
A lot of work. A lot of runway.
Yeah.
And Erica, when we sat down and came up with our list, like we have our hit list of amazing women. It's such a long list of who we want to talk to. And she mentioned Merline. And I remember we reached out to you, and your immediate response was, you know what? I want to give this opportunity to someone else that inspires me, that I'm motivated by, that I'm investing in, and let her name and her brand be elevated in this moment. And so that's that pay it forward model that we love so much. And so thank you
for that,
for being here, sharing your background. And if you could maybe just share a bit about the two of you and your connection, and then we'd love to hear
more about all the stuff that's going on.
So beyond being an original 18 of the 18 members of Black Women Boards, what I loved is we were connected through James White, I believe, who's the former CEO of Jamba Juice, a dear friend and a sponsor in many ways and everything in my life. And you didn't have that much revenue, if I remember. When I
think it was less than $10,000.
Yeah. When she was starting Bossy Cosmetics. Now, before you say, why would Merline invest?
You gotta start somewhere.
No. But, by the way, I wasn't the first investor. Actually, my daughter was the first investor in her company.
Wait,
your daughter.
My daughter.
Yes.
When she was 14.
Yes.
But we'll get to that.
14 years old. Something right. Okay.
Fantastic.
All right.
And so the idea would be that you didn't have a lot of revenue, but part of what I always say to people, when you're super, super early, you're investing in a founder and that entrepreneur. And make no mistake, this is not just someone who decided to start a company called Bossy Cosmetics. She was a former investment banker and just like amazingness in her own
20 years or something.
Exactly.
I started when I was 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's early birds always.
Early birds.
Are we doing this?
I'm a genius.
She's 22 today.
Yeah, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. But, and so, I just love the message. And it was just an amazing thing for my daughter who, and by the way, doesn't wear a lot of makeup. She's very much into sports. She's at Stanford now playing for the women's soccer team and studying computer science. So dual tracked student to athlete. But at the time, finding something that can inspire her to not have to decide between who she is as a young lady and also just, in many ways, looking at something and saying, what does that message resonate with me? And so she picked Bossy.
Wow.
Because you could spend that money or you can invest it.
How did she find Bossy, though?
Well, no. We were connected.
You were already connected.
Yes. And so she had some extra money from summer work.
Wow.
And so we had a conversation, which I think is important for us when you're having kids understand what they can do with their money, to educate them. You can spend it, you could save it, or you can invest it.
And educating early on. That's
Early on.
Awesome.
And so she chose to invest. And so she was one of the youngest investors.
So she inspired
the
you.
youngest.
She's the youngest.
Not one of.
I don't know.
That is
she's
so
the youngest.
amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
And you followed in your daughter's footsteps in that case then, in this situation.
Her daughter,
Yeah, she gets to say she's first.
dragged her along.
I love
Like,
it.
Mom, you got to pay
And
attention
then,
to
of
this.
course, it's been really amazing. And to see the growth. And you're now, I'm sure you'll talk about it.
I met you about 7 years ago through this gentleman she mentioned, James White. James and I did a fellowship together at Stanford. And James, as she said, absolutely distinguished gentleman. He is what you call an ally in motion at all times. Very successful man, former CEO, chairman of the board of Jamba Juice, chairman of the board of Honest Company, sits on a bunch of boards, like all this stuff. Brilliant human being. And I just happened to be lucky to be a fellow with him at Stanford and just really developed this close relationship with him. And he said, you know, he's such a great mentor and sponsor.
Wow.
And he said to me, I want you to meet Merline. Well, not just Merline, but she was one of the people. He said, I want you to meet her. She reminds me of you, or you remind me of her. Both of you are energetic, you're successful, you're going for things, but you're still, you know, human. Like you've got that human aspect to you, but you're hungry. And I want to see you both succeed. And I think you guys should meet each other. Yeah. And I think that was it.
That was
it
it.
What a
wasn't
great
about,
connector.
And we met at Phil's.
Yeah,
on
we met and
4th
had coffee
Avenue
at
near my
Phil's.
house. And
Yes.
You didn't meet at Jamba Juice though?
No, we didn't meet at Jamba Juice.
Sorry.
Not at Jamba Juice. He left Jamba
Shout
Juice
out to
by
Phil's.
then.
Yeah, there you
Shout
go.
out to Phil. Shout out to Jamba Juice as well.
I got Jamba Juice today. We're covered.
And so that's how we came into each other's lives. And he was absolutely correct in that both very, you know, driven women. I'm a first generation American immigrant born to Nigerian parents, but I was, you know, raised by a single mom. My dad left my mom when I was 1. And so I grew up in the projects in Boston. And I'm, you know, very much of this sort of immigrant child background of there are only few jobs you can have. And that's like law, banking, you know, be a doctor, you know, a really sort of, you have to be accomplished, right? And I get it, because when you don't come from money and you have no money, you've got to figure out how to get your family to a better position. And so that was my background. And so when I went to undergrad, I was great at math. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I kind of thought I wanted to be an econ professor. I thought that was cool. And then I got this job on Wall Street as a summer intern. And I think at the time I was making like $600 a week or a month. I can't remember. But it was just like $1 billion to me. I was like, you're going to give me $600.
Oh my
So
God.
I did that for the summer. And I was like, I'm going where the money is.
Right. I mean, imagine.
Sold. I'm gonna get
I was like, econ professor?
No.
Things you could do with that
I'm
money
like,
too.
what?
back
And,
then.
you know, I came to find that I really like nice things.
Thing.
And then, and those things, they cost a lot of money.
Yes.
And so, you know, you get these golden handcuffs. You start the job and you're like, okay, I financed my whole way through undergrad. So I had loans, as most people do.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this job for a couple of years and then pay off the loans and then go find my passion.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys, how you were raised. Where I was raised, the idea of passion is what you do after you've worked.
Yeah.
Like work and passion have nothing to do with each other.
That's right.
And so paid off the loans and then went back to business school and then thought, okay, now I'm going to follow my passion. And the market was crazy dead. This was 2002, end of the dot-com bust. And I was like, okay, we'll put the passion later and, you know, go back and pay, you know, work to pay some more loans from business school. And then just year after year after year after year after year, and 2 decades went by. And then I turned 4. No. So 2 decades went by and I spectacularly burned out.
Yeah.
7 years ago, I ended up in the hospital with severe hypertension, had very high blood pressure. My dad had passed away from heart failure. And the doctor was like, you know, but I had done everything I wanted, right? I was the managing director. I was running a big book. I was, you know, on boards and all this stuff. And, you know, had gotten married and had 3 kids and the nannies were raising the kids. And I was always on a flight. And the business card said what I needed it to say. But I just was so unhappy.
Yeah.
And when I ended up in the hospital, you know, I remember I thought I had a heart attack. I thought I was dying. And so I pass out, wake up. My husband's there and the doctor's there and he shuts the door and I'm like, okay, so at least I know I'm alive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like.
No, but this still ain't good.
This is still not good. Like when they have to shut the door, this is not good. And he says to me, Miss Dozie, are you under any unusual amounts of stress? And I said to him, no. And my husband was like, yes. And I was like, why? Like, just get to the point. Like, am I dying? And he's like, you know, you have really severe hypertension. You have to fix it. You have to figure out, you have to make some big lifestyle changes. You have to go on medication.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't fix this, you're not going to be around to raise your 3 kids. Jeez. And that was the best bad news I have ever gotten in my life.
And you didn't even know.
I had no idea I was hypertensive.
And that's what's crazy.
It's called the silent killer for a reason.
Yeah. And you're just hitting all the check boxes thinking you're on the right path and doing the right thing.
And I'm thinking, you know, and the things are like, if you're a type A woman, you're traveling all the time, you're busy, or, you know, you've got this meeting, that meeting.
It's feeding your ego.
It's feeding your ego and you're exhausted, but you are exhausted.
Yeah,
like that's part of life. You're tired, you're dizzy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what means to be successful.
Exactly. And so you think these are all, this is the cost of this life.
Did you say dizzy?
Yeah. I was dizzy.
Okay, that's
I was
good.
wondering. I remember like, she's like,
She's like, actually, that should have been a sign. That should have been a sign. So she's engineering you right now.
And she's right. She's right because my doctor was like, dizzy is one of the signs that is not normal. But I was just like, no, I stood up too fast. Next time,
you made an excuse.
I made an excuse.
Until
I ended up in the hospital.
Did you ever see stars?
I probably did.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I just, that period is such a dark period for me.
Wow.
And so after that, I quit my job.
Good for you.
I'm
sure it wasn't that easy though.
Oh, no. This was like, it took a while. It took 6 months before I could make the decision to quit the job. And the reason it was so hard for me was, so I started working in investment banking when I was negative net wealth, right? Like just loans and loans and loans. You know, over 20 years, I was no longer in negative net wealth or net value, but I was then petrified of being unemployed.
Yeah.
I'd never not worked since I was 15.
Yeah.
Right? And so you then have to deal with the inner self-doubt, imposter syndrome demons of you're going to end up broke and back in the projects.
Yeah.
And so I had to really do a lot of work. And my husband was like, are you kidding me? We're not going to live on the streets. I'm like, but yeah, it could happen. Who knows? So it took me a while to get there, 6 months, but I knew I had to change my life. And that's because my children mean the world to me. And just for the doctor to tell me you're not going to be able to raise them at the way you're going, I knew I had to make that call.
How old were they at that time?
My baby was 3, my middle son was 6, and my oldest was 8.5.
Yeah.
So I was knee deep in it.
Yeah. And you, like you said, all your nannies, everybody was raising the kids. I mean, I was, you know, part of that too. Still had, I mean, that's how do you juggle?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
You're on a plane all the time.
You need help.
Someone, and you know, love my husband to death. He's great, but he's not going to do it. So I need to make sure I have the help. And I did have the help. And it's just so much. And that's almost 9 years ago. It's just so much. I mean, everything in my life has changed. Everything. For the better.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
look at that smile.
for the better. I moved out to Palo Alto to do this fellowship at Stanford, which is where I met the gentleman who introduced us. He's also an investor in my business. And I took a year off and I used that year to unlearn, relearn, reacquaint, learn new things, and just really walk in my purpose and to really discover what I'm passionate about and what I'm uniquely created to do. And that's how the company that I have now, Bossy Cosmetics, was formed.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
So many people aim for that and strive for that their whole life, and they don't ever find that purpose-driven thing, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And why makeup? Yeah, I'm happy for it. But like makeup, like you just like you found your passion. But did you know it was going to be makeup? Like,
I mean, a month before I started the business, I had no idea I was going to start a makeup company. Okay. So let's be clear.
Fair.
I knew that I had to get out of the job I was in. So that was one thing I knew. And then I came out to Palo Alto and I just, you know, I had this awakening, this rebirth, and just really getting centered to myself. And that's why I talked about, I love this group here because when I tried to really distill what I felt my purpose was, it was working with women.
Yeah.
It was amplifying women's voices. It was igniting confidence in women. It was inspiring women. You know, throughout my career as a banker, I was always like chairing the bank's women's groups. I was always involved in something about women, like the women's resource groups, all those things. I was always passionate about seeing more women in finance, more women just up the ladder. I love it when women are wealthy. I love it when women are opinionated. I love it when women have all the things and all the choices.
You were the feeder, the natural feeder of all of that.
So that was what I was like, this is what I was made to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant from an execution standpoint,
Yeah.
like how I was going to do it. But I knew my purpose was around just electrifying women to go live their best lives.
I love that electrifying.
Yeah.
So good.
You're like speaking my language.
feel it.
I
That's
feel
like
it.
when
I
you
feel
were talking about this platform, I was like, oh my God, like you're speaking my language.
And when you say that, like I started Women in Tech at LinkedIn, it was the whole thing. It's like always a platform, women. And it's like, I'm trying to, I'm right where you were, where I quit my job. I don't have a job. I'm like, what's going on? Redefining I'm like, so my confusion is like you, like, I don't know, 9 years ago. So I'm going to follow. I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
learn.
come. We're gonna talk some more.
I need help.
I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. It's a beautiful process. It can be painful. It can be scary.
Scary as hell.
It's scary as hell.
Your identity, everything.
Everything. But let me tell you something somebody told me. So one day when I'm at my program at Stanford, at the end of the program, I still had no idea of what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But I was like, I know my purpose, don't know what I'm passionate about, not quite sure.
Yeah.
And I was really getting on myself. I was like, I'm really disappointed. Like I mean, it costs a lot of money to move to Palo Alto and to no longer, you know, I was
a
like,
little bit, yeah.
it costs a lot of money to move to Palo Alto, to do this fellowship at Stanford, to quit my job and have no income. I was like, girl,
Scary.
the money.
How are the numbers making sense?
The math was not mathing.
No.
And then I still.
And you're a finance person? She's a finance? So yeah, okay.
Girl, the math
just so we're clear.
The math was not mathing. That's what the young girls say
like
today.
that. Okay, I'm
That's
using that. Is that
that's Gen
Yeah.
Z.
That's Gen Z. Okay,
You know, I'm in the
mathing.
beauty industry, so I'm always with Gen Z.
All right, I'm
and I
doing
tell them I just look like I'm older, but I'm 28. Anyway, so the math wasn't mathing, and I'm like, okay, honey, like, what's the plan? And so I go for lunch with a really good friend of mine, this Argentinian journalist, and I'm telling her, Marina, I'm so stressed. I feel like I've wasted this opportunity. I don't know what to do. I feel like I need a finance role, like something that can just like justify this big expense and this big life change, moving my family all the way from Nigeria to California, like this dislocation. I told her I need a trophy. I need something that justifies this to everybody who asks me what I did. And you know what she says to me? She looks at me and she goes, Aisha, but you're the trophy.
Ooh, I got chills. Change that perception.
I almost died. I swear to you.
For good reasons.
For good
this
reasons.
time.
For good reason. Have you been to my office lately? I have a neon sign on the back of my desk. It says, "You are the trophy."
Yes.
I
just
need
we
that.
need to get that.
I put it up
in here.
I need it every.
I'm going to send you a picture of it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
are the trophy, pink neon. It was God who spoke to me through Marina. And
Wow.
after that, I realized we are in chains. Those of us who climb up these ladders, you know, you make $600 and then from $600, it's a lot more zeros.
Yeah.
And you get so attached to it. My first job out of undergrad was at Goldman. I worked at Goldman. I worked at Morgan Stanley. I went to Harvard. I went to Stanford. I did all those things. And you're collecting all these little things and you've got these business cards and you look at that and you're like, oh, I'm the shit.
Yeah.
And then you don't have any of that stuff. And you're like, I got no salary. I got no business card. I have no plan. What does that make me?
Yeah.
I need a trophy. And she says, but you're the trophy. Now, every day I get into my office, I put the neon lights on. I'm the trophy.
I love that.
queen has
I need that. Yeah. I love that.
That's awesome.
I'm
yeah.
the trophy.
It's beautiful. You know,
I'm gonna say that to myself. Like, in the
Say it to
mirror,
yourself
I'm the trophy.
all the time.
I don't need a sign. I'm just gonna say it. I'll use your Bossy lipstick and I'll just write it on there. There you go.
so this is what's so cool though is the synergies that you called out earlier, how we all have kind of the same passion and we're all here for the same reason, right?
Yep.
And our mission with HumanizeHer is to elevate women and to help women to redefine success on their own terms, encourage women to do so.
Yep.
And you're in the midst of doing that right now. you did
that.
You
Did that.
Did that. You're the product of, you're like the poster child at 8 years old. Look at you sitting here.
I like that.
Redefining success on your own terms. And like, it's fantastic to see. And the confidence that you exude just talking about it, you can feel the passion coming. So where you're at now, I mean, you created your own business. You started Bossy Cosmetics. You have a mission. You're mission driven, and it's a beautiful thing. But there's some cool shit that came along with this. Like, you've been on Oprah's favorite things list twice.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Twice. I watched your video like multiple times about like, what did you do when that happens and all your orders and craziness.
It is the best thing that can happen to your business. But I tell you, the first time we got scouted for it, her folks called me. The lady sent me an email from an @gmail.com account. Of course, you know, I'm not going to believe that. And she's like, I'm from Oprah's team. We want to see this.
Okay,
it should be like OprahWinfrey.com or something. Like, I would think that's
gmail.com. I'm like, I'm a Nigerian. You can't hustle me. You can't hustle me.
Don't even try.
I was born with the hustle gene. I can spot this.
Yeah.
And so I read her back. She's like, oh, do you have time for a call? I'm like, no, I'm busy for the whole summer. And I was like, but if you're free in the next 30 minutes, I can speak to you. Wow. And so she called me thinking, I was so like, whatever.
She's not going to do it.
And she calls me. And we are chatting and all the stuff she's saying, I'm like, I think this lady's for real.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, can you just send me an email with your address? Because she wanted like to see some things we were working on. And I get back to my office because I'm on a walk when I'm talking to her on the phone. And then I Google the address of the place she wants me to mail the stuff to. It's the Hearst magazine offices. I'm like,
it's real. This is
real. Yeah. Wow.
I got the call. The first time I almost died. The second time
but in a good way again this time.
No, in a good way. The second time I was like, I'm the trophy.
Yes, heck yes.
That is so amazing.
We're just ready for the three-peat when the third time comes around.
At this point, I'm like, bring all the awards. Let me get them. Let me get them.
And you're at one of my favorite real.
Yeah. So I haven't even actually said what I do.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm like, you've talked a lot about being badass.
I talked about how to get there, how I got there.
Yeah.
And so shortly after Marina tells me I'm the trophy, I decide to say to myself, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And what would I do if I didn't need money? Now, let's be clear about the second point.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't need money.
Everyone does.
But every single job I'd had before that, I took primarily for the money. And I said to myself, okay, you're now a woman of privilege. You're not the same girl who had credit card debt, loans, You're a woman of privilege. You can make some tough choices and invest in yourself. And so I said to myself, what would you do if you didn't have to worry about making money so you didn't care about a business model for now? So it's really passion.
Yeah.
And what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And I've always been a lipstick junkie. Like lipstick gifting was my love language because I had a really big international job and I was covering so many different markets. So every time I would pass through duty free, I would buy a bunch of different things and give my girlfriends gifts. That was my thing. And it would be like that red lipstick, that one, and that eyeshadow, and that eyeliner, and that, and that. And that was my way of saying, I love you. You're amazing. Like, rock that red lipstick. Wear that to your next client pitch. Wear that out to the date with this guy. Or like, if you see this guy you don't like anymore, wear that eyeshadow. I was always like,
that's a new one. You scare him?
Yeah, like, no, make sure he knows what he's missing.
And you title him like that, the breakup shadow.
Yeah, the breakup shadow.
Exactly.
There you go. That's right. I like that.
Should be smoky.
And so that's how it came. It was like, I want to do something where it's not going to feel like I'm working, where the creative process is just going to be so germane to me. And it's going to be so real and so effortless and fun. And so I said, okay, let's match purpose and passion. Yeah. And that's how Bossy Cosmetics was born. I created this idea that it would be possible to have women love to look beautiful generally, right? And looking beautiful is different for different women. Yeah. And sometimes it's about makeup and sometimes it's not. And I say, well, if it's going to be about makeup, why don't we excite you along the way? Yeah. And so our products are, I picked the name Bossy, first of all, because I was like, let's reclaim that word. Let's flip it, right? And I'm sure each of us has been called bossy over our lives.
Just for speaking our mind.
And that was it. It's always when a woman or a girl is speaking her mind, she's bossy. And so I use this word to say, guys, that tells you that there's something in you that someone is afraid of.
Yeah.
Rekindle that. Keep that fire going. Yeah. And so that was how I picked the name of the company. And it's all about empowering women to look, feel, and do good. And so all of our products are named after various attributes that we think are powerful for women. So like, I think I'm wearing right now wisdom and ambitious. On my cheeks, I've got perseverance and captivating. On my nose, I have enchanting. On my eyes, I'm wearing this palette called Beauty Meets Drive that has a bunch of different colors. And it celebrates the various roles that women play at once. And I think the color I have on is daughter and badass. So everything that we do,
I see it.
is just speaking life, power, confidence into women to live their very best lives.
Wow, I love
I
it.
think I'm wearing
soft power. Oh, yes.
Oh, I like it. It looks good.
So we did a special collection for QVC a couple of years ago.
You've just threw in, you were on QVC also?
Yeah.
Just a little detail.
Back when I was 5 years old, I just
When was QVC? When was this?
God. Was that 2021?
I don't remember, but I
think it was 2021. Yeah. They did this competition, and I pitched in the competition, and it was thousands of people, and they were only picking 90. And I was like, of course they're not going to pick me. They picked me. What? And so we designed this really cool collection of 2 bold colors, 2 soft colors. She's wearing one of the 2 soft colors. And everything we do, we storyboard. There's a reason, there's a whole discussion behind it. And so there was soft power and graceful. And this was coming out of the pandemic. So it was what are women having to tap into? And the other 2 colors were resilient and tenacious. And so those were deep berry cherry colors. So it's those are the 4 things that I felt like women were having to grapple with coming out of the pandemic and all of that madness to kind of just keep us going.
Yeah.
Is that how you explained it too in the pitch?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And then so when you're on QVC, I mean, you just order, was it an Oprah moment too where you get all these orders? How does it, I'm just curious how it works. Yeah. And then do you have enough inventory when something like that happens? I'm thinking operational mode. Okay. It's how does this work?
Go ahead.
You have to get ready. I mean, I've had
How do you get ready?
Well, so first of all, you need capital, which is how I began to raise capital from friends, because you need to you're going to embarrass yourself and annoy QVC if you don't have the supply when people want to place orders. And so we designed this collection, and it was down to the wire because remember, we still had supply chain challenges by 2021.
That's right.
And so I remember at some point flying to Italy with 4 massive orange suitcases and filling them with lipsticks and flying back because I just needed to have product. It was really hard to get stuff on boats and ship the boats out.
So you were the carrier.
Wow.
So I did a couple of
I've been to
trips
the house
myself.
where it's been.
We now
You must get product like floor to ceiling in that moment.
We now have a studio, but at the time,
you have a little warehouse for all this stuff now.
In our studio, we have a space in our garage where we put everything. But at this time, we didn't get the studio till last year. So the first 4 years of the business, my house was the office. And at some point, when we got Oprah's Favorite Things the first time, I need to find the videos. My children would come in from school and then back to the wall to go straight, to walk down and then go upstairs. And then if they want to come down for dinner, I would make dinner in the kitchen and take it upstairs because all of downstairs is taken.
The kitchen table, everything's covered in cosmetics.
Everything's covered.
Love it.
It was crazy.
Jeez. And so then the next phase is then you got enough orders. So then you had a studio and you created that. And so all your shipments, everything.
So now everything's come out of our studio. And I have people who help do all the shipping, and we fulfill a lot of stuff through Amazon now. Amazon has been a lifeline for us.
So that helps you scale and have them keep the inventory.
Yes. So when we got Oprah's Favorite Things in 2021, her team introduced us to the Amazon Fulfillment Center. And they just... they unlocked a really big thing for us. And so then you just have to ship everything to them. And then you get thousands of orders and you're just sitting there on your app and your app is ping, ping, ping.
This sounds good. This sounds good.
I like that. I like that sound. At some point I had to turn off the pings. Yeah. But in the beginning I was I like the pings.
Yeah. I like the pings.
I like the pings.
Another order.
Yeah, music
I like
to your
the
ears.
pings. It's music. Yeah.
But they get to manage all that. Obviously, they get a cut to do
Of
all
course,
that.
of
you
course,
know,
of
yeah,
course.
but
And they
it's-
deserve the cut.
And they deserve it. Yeah.
They deserve the cut.
Is your manufacturer was in Italy?
Yes.
So that's where it's actually made.
So the products are all made in Italy. My design team is based in Paris. So we've been a fully distributed team from day one. Wow. So my design team is based in Paris. I have this really amazing Parisian woman who has been with me from almost the beginning, like a couple months into the launch.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this, I don't know if any of you have French female friends, but
yes,
they are special. So this lady sends me an email. She discovers me through Cosmetic Executive Women just after we launch. And she sends me this lovely email. Dear Aisha, oh, I love your website. It's so lovely. I've heard so much about you. I did some research. You're so smart. But the logo is terrible. And but the packaging is terrible. And but this. And but this. And this is not good. And the gradient of this. And the color. I was like,
You can do better.
I was like, I don't even know you.
Wow, yeah, but all that work
And then
and opinion and
I know, and then
great impersonation, by the way. That's good.
literally.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Stephanie, Aisha, this is how she speaks all the time. You know, it's very this and this is how she is. And so I read the email, I delete it. I'm like, who the what?
Who do you think you are?
And then I could not sleep the whole night. I was like,
Maybe
everything
she's
she said is right. I was like, I hate the
Damn it.
gradient, I hate the color, I hate everything. So I emailed her. I was like, where are you? So she's in Paris. I said, I'm coming.
Wow.
And I went out and we have not been apart since.
That's
amazing.
fantastic.
Just a random email. She just randomly reached out
Random.
and full of opinions.
Yeah. And we still, now we have like epic fights. This is ugly. You cannot do it. I'm like, but that's what I want to do. I'm the owner of the company. She's like, I will not let you do it. No. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. We'll talk later.
Sleep on it.
Yeah, you gotta sleep on
She's
it.
generally right. She's generally
It just takes a little while to get there.
But it's so important who you partner with, you know?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, she challenges you, but challenges you in the right ways.
Oh, yeah.
To
Yeah.
make you see things from a different perspective.
yeah.
And it's all about
And I
who
think
you
we're
build.
both
Yeah.
better because
For
of
it.
each other.
Each other, yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, take a look at our website, take a look at our products.
Yeah.
I mean, we've won awards for our packaging. That is Stephanie. Like, she has brought such, design detail to the business. And she's so like, I remember being in Paris one July. It was 43 degrees Celsius. I thought I would melt.
No.
And Parisians don't have air conditioning.
Yeah.
And we're in some warehouse she has found where they're literally smelting the gold because she does not like the rose gold they've picked, and we've got to get it right. And so I'm sweating out of everything. But she was like, we're not leaving until it's right. And I love her attention to detail. And I always tell her, there's zero ego around me when you are better than me.
Yeah.
When you're better than me, I'm like, you do you, do your thing.
Yeah.
And so it's been a brilliant partnership working with her.
That's beautiful.
What a beautiful
What's her
story.
name?
Stephanie. She's half French, half Mauritian.
Wow.
Do you have a product that's named after her in some way, shape, or
I
form?
don't actually, but maybe I should.
Yeah.
We don't actually name our products after people.
people.
Yeah, they're like courage and
Yeah, one of one of her
Yeah.
attributes that you admire.
It
the
would be
most.
stubborn.
She's like, I'm gonna give her that.
We would have to find the word in French for that.
Yeah.
Stubborn.
Actually, maybe
eyeliner.
that's just the name of a lipstick and it's named after her. There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's like, today I'm stubborn. Ain't
That
listening
is
to you.
that's the next
Yeah,
one.
I
That's
would
the
want
next-
to.
that's
Yeah,
the
I'm
next
pretty
collection.
stubborn as well. I like that. There's no reason to have all the
But
feelings.
we have a palette though. So I told you we have this Beauty Meets Drive that like celebrates all the different levels of women. So it's mother, daughter, badass, all this stuff. And then we have another one called Elegance Meets Strength, which like plays on negative things women have been called. So one of the colors is like bossy, one is hysterical, bitch, pushy, aggressive, not ready, not technical. And I remember when I did it.
I've heard that one.
Everyone has heard that. And Stephanie was like, oh, I don't know if it is good to put that. I think it's too much. I said, it's going to be fine. Don't worry.
It will fly off the shelves, actually, because we'd be
It's
like,
a beautiful
actually, I am a
palette.
bitch. I love when
Exactly.
people call me that. Thank you.
Somebody
Own it.
literally in church of all places said to me, I'm wearing bitch and I love it.
Yes.
In church. So
In church. There you go. Yeah,
It's
wow.
the name of a lipstick.
Yeah.
Or something.
What stage is the business in now? Like, I imagine you started, you're getting like a lot of attention. you're getting some growth. Like how's it going? And what's the next phase, or like, what do you feel like you need to get to that next level of what you want the business to go?
Where is the business? It's been an amazing ride. Honestly, I have to say, I'm proud of what we have done in terms of, in a very short amount of time, all the various accolades that I've shared. We, along that time, have, gone into over 600 JCPenney stores. We just launched with Nordstrom, in fact, in a week and a half.
Another thing, just a drop. Just Nordstrom. I don't know. Do you know Nordstrom?
I've been there a time or two.
And I'm going out to New York. So I'm going to New York next week. I'm actually sit on a board of a company that's in New York. So I'm going for a board meeting. And then that week, I'm hosting a really beautiful event at Nordstrom in their flagship store.
That's your launch?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even know of course they have a flagship store. But
Yeah,
that was like, wow.
it's an
what does it
amazing
look like?
store
I
on
need to,
57.
Amazing store.
It's
Really?
amazing.
That's
It's
next
amazing.
week?
It's on the 6th of June.
Okay, so maybe we need to go to
maybe
New
we
York.
need to-
If you're
we
going
might
to
need
be
to go
in
to
New
New
York,
York.
you're
I don't know. I
coming.
might make a reason to
Never
go to
know.
New York.
I mean, you need now you have a reason.
I have a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
We've got a DJ coming. We've got food, and they're making like a signature drink for Bossy. And it's one of my really good friends who's I've known her since business school. She's going to be interviewing me. It's like a meet the founder type thing. So the guys at Nordstrom are really excited about it. So am I. So the future for us, what's next is just continue to grow, continue to make sure that people know who the brand is. We're still small. I mean, we've grown a lot, but we're very far from $100 million in sales, which is where I want to go.
Yeah. Okay.
And so more retail partnerships, more investment. We need investment.
Yes.
We need investment to get there. It's not cheap to build this kind of brand.
Yeah.
So I think my next step is people write me checks.
That's
and
right.
And I take the checks. And
thank you.
And I say thank you, and I keep growing the business. And I tell people this is my full-time job. It's not a side hustle for me. It's such an instrumental part of my life.
Yeah.
But it's so natural for me to do it because I'm not trying to be anyone but myself. My kids are always in and out of my office. My office is literally 3 blocks away from my house. My kids help me pack stuff. My 14-year-old takes out the trash every week. It's a new life. It's a different life. And I also, similar to Merline, get to sit on a board of a public company. So I feel like I'm always flexing my left brain, my right brain. I get to kind of do the strategy stuff 30,000 feet up, but then I come down to do the operation stuff in my day job.
How satisfying.
So it's honestly almost every day, and I need to make this every day I wake up, I am filled with gratitude to God for the life I have. Because I very much know where I came from, and I know where I could be, and I know where I am.
And you've earned that. You've earned that place.
The trophy.
Yeah, it's just a trophy.
Yeah.
Every part of it.
You've earned that trophy of yourself.
It wasn't given to me.
No, absolutely not. And this is what I like us to discuss. We got to discuss money. We got to discuss investing, because it's not just like women supporting women. It's like, no, write me a freaking check. Put your money where your mouth is and do it. I mean, you have to do that. So I guess they reach out to you if they want to write you out a check.
Right.
How does this process work?
Call me. Email me. DM me.
Buy the products.
First of all, buy the products.
Right.
I think you cannot succeed in the retail environment today if you're not actually selling products.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm always shocked when people are like, oh my God, how can I support you? Are you kidding me? You buy for yourself, buy for your friend, buy for your girlfriend, buy for your enemy, buy for your teacher, buy for, I don't know. Just
send your enemy that bitch.
I know.
It's fine. It's still a gift.
No return to sender, just
Anonymous.
With a note that says, saw this and thought of you.
Yeah. Oh, just boom.
Signed.
Boom.
Anonymous.
There you
So
go.
shop the products.
Yeah.
Shop them at Nordstrom.
We're actually having a pop-up after this.
Yes.
So we have friends
So
over, 50
excited.
we're gonna buy.
I
can't
am
wait.
obviously partial to my own products, but they can stand up to any massive brand that is, celebrity backed or, LVMH backed or any of those historical heritage brands.
Listen.
Our products
This
stand
lipstick.
up from packaging wise, formulation wise. Like I know one of the things that I tackled.
Hydrating. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
I was gonna say hydrating and all the
That's still
animal
not-
cruelty
we
box.
use skin loving ingredients. Like I said, our products are made in Italy. They're made by this amazing Italian family that has been doing this for generations. Like we don't skip any beat in anything that we do. Our products are cruelty free. They're all vegan. They're PETA registered. They're Leaping Bunny registered. I mean, just excellent quality. And not just
right.
We did it right. I didn't want to just like, I wasn't going to play with those details. And also because you're trying to establish a relationship with women, right? If I'm saying that the brand is a purpose-driven brand, it's a mission-driven brand. In fact, I often tell people that we're actually a women's empowerment mission-driven company that masquerades as a beauty company.
Oh, I love that.
So we make money by selling products, but we're all about telling you like, slap that red lipstick on and go out and do that pitch. Like go out and we want you. I said products are confident, focused, soft power, graceful, collaborator, sexy, subtle, classy. I mean, it's all these things, these attributes that we, in a very subliminal way, but also direct way, we want our customers to embody. So yeah, how can you support me? Shop my products.
And write a check.
And write me a check.
All right. Well, sign me up for both. So.
Yeah.
There we go.
The instant gratification in me is about to open up my Amazon cart right after
There
this.
you go. And it's free shipping. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's next day. Like sometimes
Next day?
Amazon is next day or 2-day shipping.
Yeah, because that's an emergency situation if you need your lipstick and you don't have it.
I'm
It's
telling
like
you.
disaster.
I'm telling you.
A lip for every occasion.
Yes.
That's what it needs to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love this. And you're telling us what's next. You've got Nordstrom coming up with the launch and new product launches coming, I'm sure, in the near future. We are all about uplifting and elevating other women. And this is the perfect prime example right here. And so in closing, I think we'd like to give you a pay it forward moment. If there's any women in your network or in your lives that inspire you, motivate you, that you want to elevate, let's hear it.
And Merline, lift.
Yeah.
You have this saying. Say your quote.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I publish a regular newsletter called Lift As We Climb. And the idea is exactly that. I've connected with and have had the privilege of working some of the most amazing CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, board members, and I get to interview them and get sort of their leadership qualities and what they think about that, how they build great products. And that, in a way, is educating and inspiring the next generation to think what's possible. And so I've had it's been over 2 years that I've just interviewed some of the most amazing leaders in the world. And then I get feedback from people who are like, oh my God, this is so inspirational, educational. So I'm always thinking scale. I can always do one-to-one, and I get asked a lot about giving back. And I do give back and sponsor a lot of people. But I'm always thinking about how can I do that at scale? Yeah. And so that's what's always drives some of the things that I think about. So,
Smart.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think maybe beyond the newsletter, I do have some other entrepreneurs. I've invested in about 20 companies now as an angel investor. It's an honor and privilege that I get to do that. Wendell Snyder, former CISO of Fastly and Square. She has a new company called Thistle Technologies. I'm an investor in that, as well as Air Protein for Lisa Dyson. More importantly, I get to invest in my daughter, Jasmine Ike, who's in many ways an 18-year-old, has been probably one of the most impressive human beings I've ever seen. She's dual, like I said, both student athlete, but she takes the student part very seriously. And I'm most proud that she was named academic All-American, and in addition to being first team All-American. So incredibly proud of
All
her.
right, we might have to talk to her next.
I think so.
She's an early investor. All these things. Like, all right, but yeah, we got to get her.
You can sit next to her on the couch if you would like.
Exactly.
We'll have you back anytime.
So one woman, there are a lot of women I want to support, but there's one woman that I've come to know. We call each other business besties. She's just this most amazing woman. I think she lives in Atlanta, from Atlanta, but her people are from Louisiana. Her name is November Nichols, and she owns a company called Maison Chemin. And it's basically it's a perfume brand, or I would say a fragrance brand, because she does, perfumes, she does oils, body oils, scrubs, She also does this really beautiful a la carte perfume cart for big corporate events where she'll make customized fragrances for people. It's such an elevated offering.
Wow.
And I just think that she's one of the finest human beings I know. She's just a brilliant woman with an amazing heart for God, just an amazing heart for developing businesses and supporting other perfumers in her community. So she's always teaching other smaller businesses how to develop perfume brands. And I just want to put her name forward as somebody that people should look up. As I said, her name is November Nichols.
How can you not forget that name?
Yeah, Maison Chemin. And she's beautiful on the inside out. She's just an amazing woman.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I love that you're saying that she's a perfumer and she helps other perfumers to be successful. It's not about competing.
No,
It's about helping each other.
No, I mean, that's the kind of community that I'm plugged into. I know a lot of founders and we're all about, okay, how's it on Amazon? How's it at Nordstrom?
Yeah.
What's going on here? What are you thinking about this? How are you dealing with the FDA? How are you it's about sharing. Even if you're a cosmetics brand, I still will share with you. There's billions of women in the world. Like there's enough space for all of us. There's no reason we should be competing.
No, and they're the biggest spenders also.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing the human side
Side
of
of
your
it and
badassery. Yeah, it's awesome.
And your journey. And I gained so many nuggets myself, and I'm sure you did too. I learned a ton and just completely inspired.
I can't wait to watch you grow into your teenage years. It's going to be exciting.
Good one. That's true.
So yeah, as always.
Imagine what kind of a teen I'll be.
No, I know. That's a good one.
Thank you guys for being you and for doing what you're doing and for creating a platform that lifts voices and elevates women. You know, the more of us who have been in corporate need to do this because, you know, corporate is beautiful. It's great. But, you know, a lot of us can burn out and there's another path. And I think you have the chops when you say, I've done that life. Now I'm here. Listen to what I have to say. And I think that it's really important because this generation, you know, a lot of them don't have a lot of background at all. They have no experience and they have very strong opinions. And I just think it's really important for some of us who have experience to bring the reality of what the possibilities are.
Right.
It's really important.
And I think what I love about your story and all of us, and by the way, those who decide to stay in corporate and ultimately become CEOs, because I'm a big fan of that, is just being intentional. Right? That intention of I've decided this is what I want versus I feel like this is what I have to do.
Right.
So I think that's very important.
Yeah, that's the next step in the ladder. But
Just an expected path. But you could do that and be great at it and love it, or you could pivot. And both of them are amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think it's the courage, what you said, to be able to say, like, I get to choose.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I choose me, the trophy. I'm going to do it and do whatever path I want.
That's it. You're the trophy. You're the trophy. You're the trophy.
Oh, I do get a trophy. Should I get that trophy? We need to hold the trophy.
her trophy says she's the most extra, by the way.
Okay, that's a little detail.
There you go. I love it.
Okay, we got a trophy thing going on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so
Humanize
much.
Her fam and community. We love you all, and thank you for watching. And that's a wrap. Till next time.
Bye. Thank you. All right. We cannot end without having the biggest gratitude to thank those that are behind the scenes. Our creative director and producer, Alex Sully, our talented director of photography, Becky Davis, our brilliant brand and design expert, Kristen West. And of course, thanks to all of you for making our vision of Humanize Her come to life.